Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Walaikum assalam. Wow,
Right.
episode 12. Dun dun dun. Hafsah, what did we speak about in this episode? Hit me.
So we spoke about love languages. We spoke about how to say no to people and like kindness, taking kindness for weakness. We spoke a bit about marriage and kids, as we always do. We spoke about what else? What else did we speak about? I think that was it, right? We just spoke a lot about life, you know, in general. We spoke about Zara's backup role in the podcast.
Hafsah's confirmed me as a backup in this whole production, distribution
No.
of MissHeard. We spoke a lot about expectations. So we spoke about what it means to expect something from people, what happens when you don't get the response that you want, are we expecting too much, and where do our expectations come from? All of that good stuff on episode 12. And here we go. Enjoy, guys.
There we go. All right, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam.
Again.
I'm going to sing the tune once again because I'm feeling passive.
All right. They know we've done this one too many times now. They know the drill. All right, guys, we are good. Alhamdulillah. Well, I speak for you. How dare I? How are you?
You know what? Maybe I'm not okay, and you just decided to speak for me and tell the world that I'm okay. Maybe I'm actually having a really bad day.
I'm sorry. Okay. You know what? I don't know what to reply to. Okay. In all sincerity, Zara, how are you?
No, I'm actually completely fine.
Do you know what? Sometimes I just think you just want me to panic for 2 seconds, and I don't get why. But okay, that's great. Alhamdulillah. I'm happy that you're well.
I was just saying a future reference if I'm not well.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I will note that down right now, and I will cherish that forever. That piece of wisdom you just gave me, because it's actually true.
What was your day?
My day was all right, to be honest. I had placement, then I had a class, then I got this beautiful Oreo milkshake right there, and then I waffled around my house pretty much. There has been a packed day as per every day since like the 4th of January.
Yeah.
Your reply was so slow that I was just like, is she there? Are you cool? Are you okay? Are you all right? Yeah, cool. Okay. Are you good? You good, girl? You good? Okay. As long as you're good. I think
this was flagging, but we're all good. We're back on it. MissHeard, episode 12. What? Like what?
I can sincerely say I'm so proud that we got here. You know, that means that we've recorded at least 3 months of episodes. I think it's 3 months in a week because we missed 1 week. So it's 3 months in a week of episodes. And we actually made it. So we've got through the first quarter of the year of MissHeard.
In the middle of an absolute pandemic. What an achievement.
Of an absolute pandemic. Of the peak of an absolute pandemic. What can I say?
Did you say we've completed a quarter? Pandemic. Does that even make sense?
A quarter of the year? It's like when they say the next quarter. It's a thing.
So silly.
Oh no, I'm scared. Yes, Zara, there are 12 months in the year. You are correct about that. That one I can vouch for. I can. You know, you tripped me up there. You really did. But there is 12 months in the year, love. Yeah. Thank you for that one. We've just educated so many people on our platform.
I've just had the worst. Okay, that's really bad to say. Alhamdulillah for everything. But the last 20 minutes before this episode started, I was just so... You know when you just feel like you can't find anything? I was looking for my headphones to get this episode going. Yeah. Couldn't find them. Stressing myself out. I called you. Obviously, have to call you when I'm in any emergency. Called you up, Hafsah, don't know what to do, can't find my headphones. You're like, if you stress, it's not going to make anything better. So when you left the phone, I tried to do some breathing exercises to try and help myself find my headphones. Didn't work, couldn't find them, and here we are. Alhamdulillah.
No, but it's one of those things, you know, when you're looking for something, you're not going to find it. You just need to let yourself passively find it, and then the item will come to you, because you can't change the situation. Like, so it's just like, we just got to roll with the punches. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and you know, when I'm
Brits.
passive, I start singing. So then I was just like, I can't find my headphones. I don't know where they are. It just was
Oh my
getting
God,
worse.
that is so funny. I do that when I'm like bored, but not like, I don't know. That's so funny. I don't know what I do when I'm angry. What do you do when you're angry? What would you do when you're angry? I feel like that's something that probably people around me.
I mean, it's obviously not good to get angry. We should always try and control our anger. But I think you mean like when we're alone.
Yeah. Irritated or something.
Irritated.
Yeah.
When I'm irritated, I'm trying to work on it, because I do get wound up quite easily. But I think I try to really just think about. My thing is, you have to think before you act. So I'm like, okay, let's just take a moment. Let's just think about the next thing I'm gonna do, because if it's gonna be mad, if it's gonna be passive, let's just hold off. I think probably just staying quiet, because I know that it's better to stay quiet and to not say anything than to say something that you're just gonna regret. Like, you're gonna just feel so upset about in the future. But yeah, keeping quiet, which I think I need definitely a better, healthier way of communicating my emotions than just being a mute. But there we go. What about you? What's your way of, like, when you feel so irritated?
I think it depends on why. Like, in irritation, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. Do I get irritated? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if I get that irritated, to be honest. Alhamdulillah, I don't think that's one of the things that I get that irritated about. But when I do get irritated, I'm usually the type of person where it's usually someone who's irritating me. Like, let's say my brother's really annoying me, I'll just leave, because I will not say anything nice. So I'm just like, do you know what? It's just better for me to just leave. So I'll be like, oh my God, like, he's annoying me so much. And then I'll just go to my room and I'll be like, okay, I need like 5 minutes, like, away from life, and then I'll be back to normal. So for me, if I'm getting irritated, it's usually because of someone annoying me, and so I'll just leave the situation. Like, I'm like, oh yeah,
I get really scared about when we're married and then we have to live with our husbands, and you can't. Where are you gonna go?
Fam, if you're downstairs, I'm going upstairs. If you're like, I'll go to the bathroom, bruv. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I think it's better. I would rather do that, and I think that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy that that's like a way in which I'll resolve it, because otherwise you'll just be like, say something you're gonna regret, and then it's too late, and then what are you gonna do? I'd rather be the person to be like, okay, cool, I think like this is getting a bit heated, do you know what I mean? And then afterwards, just take 5 minutes, because that 5 minutes you'll make so much like of a better decision, do you know what I mean? And then I say, do you know what I mean? Oh my God, I've got a new one. No, I can't. If I say, do you know what I mean? Shout, because I can't. I've already had 100%. I've left that one now. Can't pick up another one.
What if you had what if
leaving.
your first place with your husband when you get married, inshallah, is like a studio flat though? So you can't, like, the kitchen, the bedroom, everything is the same room. Where are you gonna go, sis?
I told you I'd go to the bathroom. I'd literally go to the bathroom. I'll have a nice shower.
Say, for example, you didn't need to shower, you didn't, like, would you just be like, okay, I'm going for a drive?
Yeah, anything.
I feel like
Or I'll just be quiet and I'll sit in the corner of the room. Like, I'd rather just not say anything, because I think it's so much better.
I can imagine you sitting in the corner of the room, legs crossed, just tapping away, like, just being like, I'm not going to talk.
Yeah. I literally force myself, because I think no matter what, at the end of the day, as soon as you start getting angry, then it's Shaitan who's going to start playing tricks on you. And so you might not even mean what you say, but once you say it, it's like, well, even once you apologize, it will still hurt the person, because you already said it. Like, if you say something like really bad, and then that person might not react well, and then they might say something worse, and then it might turn out to be like some arguing match, which could have just been avoided if one of you took the high road and just didn't say anything. Because it takes at least one person to do the right thing. Because even if at least one of you gets angry and like loses their temper, the other person can be the cool one, and vice versa. If I was the person to get annoyed, then at least they can be the cool one. But if both of you lose your cool, that's just like a really bad mix. So if alhamdulillah, if I was in that situation and I was able to control it, I would try my best to, and just like avoid. That's so funny, because yeah.
No, sorry. They say the best way to be is like having fire and water. So having someone that's genuinely the opposite to you in that sense, in terms of perhaps temperament. But then I can never figure out if I'm fire or if I'm water, because my family, I am fire. Like I'm
So there you go. Fire.
If it was a situation where I was married, I could totally be water. You just don't know. But they say that you should...
No, I know. I know. It's whatever your habit is. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. If you are the person who's the fire, sis, you gonna be the fire. You gonna be the fire. Okay, I'm telling you that for free. You gonna stay the fire. So if you want to be the water, you need to start aggroing it up. You need to start cooling yourself down. Because trust me, everyone always thinks they're gonna change in every situation. You'll be the exact same person, just with a ring on your finger.
Yeah, I always think I'm gonna cool down.
Trust me, same thing.
But I think in
Nah, me and my friends always have those conversations. It's so funny. Yeah, they'll be like, oh yeah, like once I get married though, like that's just not gonna be me. And I'm just like, girl, I don't know who told you this story, but you gonna be the exact same, and I'm telling you that now for free. Like whatever our bad habits now, if you get up late, like if I get up late usually, then that's probably what I'm gonna be like after I get married. Like it just won't. I don't think it will change unless somebody wants it to, but yeah.
My mum's biggest problem with me probably is how late I wake up, and this is like my post-fudger nap is insane. Like I could just I really go in for that post-fudger nap, and I want to be one of those people that after fudger is like, yep, my day started, but I'm like, no, like girl, you've got a few more hours. That few hours turns into more. But then I always do say to myself, when I get married, that's it, I'm a morning person. But where do I think that that's going to happen? Like, I'm just going to be such a different person.
Those duas at the wedding ceremony need to be strong. That's what I'm saying. Just stand there.
Just see me, like, disintegrate.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a new woman. I do not rise to the fears that stand against me. I do not stand for confrontation. I am the best in all situations. I aspire to be the best version of myself. My name is Zara. Come to know. Like, that's not happening. I can just tell you that now. Like, that scenario you built up in your head. I'm a woman of many talents. So, yeah, doing that, just one of them. You'll just have to wait and see for the next 100 episodes. They'll come out, maybe one an episode. And then we can write myself a CV. Maybe, you know? Hafsah said, oh my God, I keep making so many segments. You need to step up, girl. I've got 2 now, you know? I've got Hafsah headlines. I've got Hafsah hidden talents. I have many, many additions. What can I say? I'm an asset.
I'm the background girl, okay? I am behind the scenes. I am Zara BTS, okay? Don't at me like that. I have many hidden talents that just go underappreciated with this podcast. Just because you are the face does not mean that my talent should be belittled.
I am in tears.
You know I do so much work. You know I work so hard. And she's out here claiming all these segments.
My chest. Don't worry, Zara. We appreciate you. Everybody right now, comment down below. We appreciate Zara. I think she'll appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, so Zara, what does Zara do? She does... I'm joking. Guys, no, honestly, in real seriousness, I'm just joking. But Zara does an immense amount on lymphatic. Probably does more than me, to be fair. But, you know, life is good. Do you know what I mean? Someone's got to be the face, the extra, the addition, the spice, as they say.
Right, so now you're...
You know, what can I say? I didn't ask for it to be me.
Not. Okay, that's fine.
I think they call what do they say in the English language? Backup? I think that's what they call it.
I'm the backup. Wow. Guys, just take in the equality. This is what we call equality in the workplace. Yeah, she's gone. She is.
Okay. Do you know what? I need to stop laughing on this podcast because that's why all my bits get cut out. They're going to get cut out because I'm just laughing all the time.
Who does all the editing?
I am serious.
The backup.
Sorry. I can't hear you. Sorry? Is she... Okay, sorry, backup was just talking. I couldn't pick it up. It was just some irrelevant noise in the background. Okay, guys. Okay. Moving on from the slate that we just gave to Zara. We appreciate Zara. Zara does a lot. Beautiful. And so on and so forth and what have you. So you guys give us some topics. I'm going to tell you some of the topics. So I think we should discuss the love languages one. You didn't do the test though, did you?
So there was a test. Talk to me about this.
Have you done it before?
I haven't done this test before, but let's talk about it.
So basically, oh my God, I'm certified. So basically, there's this test called the five love languages test. And on this test, it talks to you about what your 5 love languages are. So the 5 love languages, let me get them up on my phone. So essentially, I think one of them's giving gifts. One of them is quality time. It's how you view others. Not how you view others, how you appreciate others in like different times of relationships. So like, it could be friendships, it could be mother and daughter, it could be father and daughter, it could be your siblings, it could be someone you're married to. It's just the way in which you appreciate love from another person. And it's a really cool test because it talks to you about in order of priority. So like, let's say, for example, somebody's might have giving gifts right at the top, like as like that's the biggest way that they like to receive love from their families and friends. And then the worst one might be like physical touch. That might be like, I don't really care. Like,
so maybe if you're someone who appreciates gifts, would it say that you're more materialistic?
Not even necessarily, because I feel like sometimes when giving gifts, it can be something that is like some people just like the fact that it's like a thought. So like, for example, I'm a kind of person where it wouldn't be probably my top one, but I like small gifts. Like I just appreciate them more. Like when you don't just know that someone's thinking about you, like your friends coming into uni, they get you like a drink, or I'm trying to think of a good one. Like there's something that I really wanted, like a skincare product, and I found it really hard to get. And then my friend like went out and tried to source it and got it for me. And like that kind of thing. Like it's just the fact that somebody like thought, the effort, the thought that goes behind it. Okay, I found it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So I'll show you the 5 different love languages and then the percentages of what yours are. So there's quality time. Acts of service, receiving gifts, physical touch, and words of affirmation. So you do the test and it asks you a bunch of questions about which one you would prefer in each different scenario. And then it gives you these percentages at the end, and then you can figure out, okay, what is mine? So out of those, which one do you think would be your primary love language?
I think with family, like with anyone, I think a really nice one. I would speak on behalf of a lot of people if I said giving gifts was one, and they say that giving gifts increases the love between another. So I definitely would say it's hard, isn't it? Because as much as you don't want to say that you're a materialistic person, at the end of the day, if I was to receive a present, like even my sister is someone, Allahumma barak, who loves giving gifts, and she's very good at them, and she does some handmade ones sometimes, and whenever she gives a present, she's very discreet about it. So she'll surprise, or she'll, I don't know, just drop it off, especially during lockdown. And so I would say when she does that for me, it does make me feel really, really good. And that she's taken time out of her really busy day, looking after her children, her husband, everyone, to do that. I would say presents. But is that wrong? What does the test say?
No, it's not like a right or wrong thing. It's literally just like whatever your love language is in particular. So you can literally like, have any of them, and it won't say that's wrong, but it just ranks them in order for you. So for my one, then actually do I don't want to say mine. Well, I'll say my top one. My top one was quality time, which is like, I think that's understandable, to be honest, because for me, I think that would probably be my main one. Like, I like spending time with like my friends and family and speaking to them and talking to them and like doing different like experiences for them. And then I think like, what was my lowest one? I'll say my lowest and highest, because, you know, that would give like a decent picture. My lowest one was acts of service. I don't think that's true. I think maybe, I don't know. I'm quite like I like to do this myself kind of person. So maybe that's why that was my lowest one. Because it's like, I don't think I'll be like, okay, thank you. But I don't know if I would fall over like trip over and die. Like, if you help me, like, I'll be like, okay, thank you. Like,
I think when people do things for
that'll
you,
be it.
You want to be able to do things a lot for yourself. And that could be anything, literally anything, whether it's going to the shops. If anyone knows Hafsah, she's an independent gal. She likes doing things for herself. So when other people do it, I think slyly, you really maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like, you know, I'd like to say I know you're quite a bit. I would say that you slyly appreciate it, but in your head you're like, I just wish I could have done that myself, which then puts you back on saying anything.
Yeah, because I don't like the feeling of feeling like I'm dependent on like some, I don't know, it's just really weird. Like, I don't like when I'm like, oh, like, I feel like an ick. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. I think it's even worse. Like, if somebody like, I don't know, I think it depends on the acts of service, because mine were all pretty close. Like my highest one was 27%, and then all the rest were like around 20%. So it's not like I'm pretty much even across the board. But I think that was my lowest one, like in terms of percentage, but like by 3% or something. So let's be real, it's not that big of a deal. But I think it's just because for me, most of the time I pretty much do everything for myself, and so I think I've just gotten so accustomed to that when somebody does that for me, even if I am grateful for it, it'll be like, okay, thank you, but it's not like the biggest thing that would like make me feel like so happy. I think for me, like, I just really like, if I love someone and I care for someone, me spending time with them, that would make me like really happy.
Yeah, I would say acts of service is something that I regard really highly. Like, if someone was to do something with, but I also think that bottles down a lot to many things. I'd say that's how you've been raised. I can put that down to how where your position is in the family. Like, I've been fortunate enough to always have older people like my siblings who have always done a lot for me. So any opportunity someone can do something for me, I'm like, go for it. Sure. You know, like I don't, even my brother the other day, bless him, he calls and he says, oh, I'm gonna order you and mum some dinner to the house, you know, just have like a takeaway on me. And I'm never like, oh no, please, like, don't do that. I'm like, okay, I'll have this.
Here's my orders up. That's so funny, because I think if my sister called me, I'd just be like, no. Like, I remember last time I was inside a cafe and we were paying for the food and my sister wanted to get it, and I was just like, no, it's fine, like, I've got, like, I can get it. And I just, like, I don't know, like, I was just like, because my card wasn't working, and I was like, no, it's fine, I've got another card, so I'll just use that one. But for me, I'm just like, why? I don't know. That is so true. It's probably just about the way that you were, like, grew up and stuff. Because I think with my siblings, we always did stuff ourselves. So maybe that's why. So even when people offer it to me, I'm like, thank you, but I've got this. Like, if I've got this, then why don't I got it? But I do appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. And that's why my percentage is quite close. Like, I think mine were like, it was 17, 20, 20, 27. So they're all pretty close, to be fair. 27 is probably like the biggest difference. But yeah, that's the thing though. Like, I don't know, like,
do you put a lot of the changes, if people might have changed, like their thing would have changed a lot because of lockdown, like their language of like kindness and love and all of that is like a lot different before? It could have been a lot more materialistic, and now it's like, no, I just appreciate if someone told me that I look good. Like, someone appreciated like anything, do you know what I mean?
yeah, I completely agree. I think that for a lot of people, quality time probably came very, very important for them, because that's what they had. And like, I think also words of affirmation, because then some people who may have never expressed like your love and care for them, you may have done it in this period just because like you really miss them that much. So like a friend that you might have been friends with for like 10 years, you might have always just been like, oh yeah, like you always see them, so you never express like how much they mean to you. But when you don't get to see someone, you're like, oh my god, like I genuinely miss you so much, and like I really wish we could be together. So that kind of like, you know, you really deep like your love for another person and who you care to see and who you're like, okay, I could have gone without. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of shows you like, you know what I mean? Like you really express that in words that you've never expressed before. So yeah, I think so for sure. I think you're right.
Okay, so we just had a bit of technical difficulty, but we are all back on track. Back on track. So the most exciting thing to happen this week, Hafsah, tell them.
I don't know what we're speaking about.
Oh, Hafsah. She was so excited to tell this one thing.
Oh, the snow. Okay, I was like, what is she talking about? I was waiting for you to like, you know, finish that sentence.
I gave you a whole drum roll.
Okay, no.
But oh no, I'm just a backup.
There we go. All right. Anyways, so yes, guys. What was I gonna say? Yep. No, see, now it's ruined. It snowed, guys. Did you go out in the snow? Did you enjoy the snow? I'm not gonna lie. I know I'm an adult, but when that snow came down, because I was up early that day. I was up at like 6 o'clock, like 6 in the morning, and I got to see the sunrise. And then after the sunrise, then I saw the snow, and I was just so happy. And then it started like getting thicker and thicker, and then I was like one of the first people to go out and stand in the snow because everyone was still asleep because it's lockdown. And it was so nice and fresh, and it just made me so happy. But yeah, that's the story in Balamory today.
So anyone who actually looked out their window would be able to confirm Hafsah's story. And I think it's safe to say...
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that to my story? No, see, this is why, you know...
Hafsah,
so too much.
Fire and water.
I'm so excited to tell my story. Do you know what? Anybody who loves snow like me will have enjoyed that little bit of excitement, okay?
Absolutely, 100%. I just wanted to go back to what you were saying about the quiz, yeah? And...
Oh, 5 love languages.
Yeah, and I just wanted to... So we were obviously talking a lot about people being kind, which ways in which we appreciate people being kind, depending on our personalities and everything, right? However, how do you know when being kind has gone too far? So in that sense, I mean, like, obviously we're talking about gift giving and we're talking about being very generous and stuff, but do you think there's a limit on being too kind? And this is something like, say let's give a scenario to the peoples. You're doing something for your siblings, you're giving gifts, you're especially being more courteous of how they're feeling, especially if you're not living with them right now, if they're not in your bubble for the lockdown. But is there a limit? Like, are you like, at this point you've just been too kind? And what makes you feel like there's a limit, if there is one?
I think I'm probably the worst person to answer this question because I think I don't have like good advice for this. Because if anything, I think I'm really bad at this aspect of like, I don't know my limits and I just like, I always overburden myself too much. And yeah, so I'll let you do this one, Zara. What advice, what things would you say about that? Because I think it's a hard one. I think that at the end of the day, it shouldn't be like a give and take thing. So it shouldn't be like, okay, you know, now that I've done something nice for you, you do something nice for you. And now that you've done something nice for me, I do something nice for you. I feel like, you know, it should just be a dynamic relationship where it's like one person might pull you forward one way. And then when you need them, they pull you forward the other way. So I would say from my own experience, probably just don't overburden yourself, right? Like as long as you're not overburdening yourself, I don't know, I guess that's where you draw the line. But what would you say?
It's hard because you're right. You want to be generous and you want to be really, really nice to the people that are around you in your life. However, I do think that a limit is drawn, I think maybe, yeah, when you get to the point where you feel like, you know what, I'm doing a lot, and like it's no longer making me happy. And in that sense, because giving gifts and being nice to people naturally makes you happy, right? It makes the giver happy because you're doing something that is putting a smile on someone else's face. I think when people think kindness is going too far is when the appreciation stops. I think that's a good indication when the appreciation. So you say it's between me and you, Hafsah and Zara. I've given you a gift. I'm really happy to give it to you because I know that how much probably effort Allah knows best how much effort that person's gone to give that to you. But I think the response has a huge impact on how the giver feels. So if you were to be like, oh, thank you, but like it's not really relevant, I don't really need it. And I'm not saying that you're that harsh that you would do that, but as in, it's like how you respond is then how the person feels about giving. It doesn't necessarily mean that I feel that way towards you. And this is what I want to talk about, because let's go back to the scenario. I am giving Hafsah a gift. Hafsah has in some ways rejected that gift by saying, maybe by either her lack of response, not really willing to take it, or whatever reason, you're not as excited as I thought you'd be for me to give you that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would make me not want to do nice things for you. I think that gives me a bad experience with the idea of giving. And then that plays a part on your relationships and how you are with everyone, right? If you have a bad relationship with, or you have a bad experience with something, it's not necessarily the person. It's more like in general, like, and people do that a lot. You know, if you get rejected, if you give someone a gift, or if I were to give you a gift and then you rejected that gift in some way, I'm almost like traumatized by giving gifts, and then it just plays it's like a knock-on effect, you know. So I think it's important that if you want to do something nice for someone, the other person has to place some value on it, I think, and there needs to be a level of respect both ways. Do you agree, or do you think that's like a bit far-fetched?
I understand like what you mean, and I do get what you mean, but I think that's why in some way, shape or form I've had to like reflect on like me doing things and why I'm doing it. Because then if I feel like I'm doing something, I'm like, okay, I'm purely doing this for the sake of Allah, like, okay, like whatever happens, I'm doing this to gain reward from Allah, alhamdulillah, and I'm like, okay, cool. Then in a way I feel like to myself, then I shouldn't be like upset if the person, naturally as humans obviously going to be upset, but I shouldn't be as upset because like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm still getting my reward out of it. But I think like having experiences where I'm like, okay, I've put in so much effort to do something for somebody, or like whatever, like let's say so you're like a family, so a group of people, and then it like backfires because like they don't really care, or like, you know, they don't appreciate it as much. You're gonna be left in like the burden of being, not the burden, but like the sadness of being like, okay, like you guys don't appreciate what I've done and whatever and all of that kind of stuff. So that's why I feel like you have to kind of force yourself and train yourself to be the kind of person where you're like, okay, you know what, I'm doing this for the sake of Allah. That way, give or take it, I don't really mind because I'm still getting my reward in that. So that's what I'm trying to train myself to be like. So yeah, I think I do understand your point though, to be honest. I feel like it is a point of appreciation. Like humans kind of need that receptiveness to then feel like, you know, appreciated back and like their effort has been recognized. So yeah, I think if somebody does give you a gift, you should be receptive to it and be understanding. But it's funny that we've thought of this as gifts, because kindness doesn't necessarily always relate to gifts. Like that is a good example of it, but kindness could literally just be like, okay, like maybe like if some people take kindness for weakness in like the workplace. So like let's say you're really friendly to people and then people start thinking you're a pushover, like you're the kind of person who will always cover people's shifts. People might like always like push you over, and like when you start saying no to things you don't necessarily have to agree to, like switching shifts with someone, they might then think, oh my god, she's so rude because like you used to do those things. So I guess that's also like a point of like taking your kindness for weakness, because you have then like showed them, okay, you know, I'm kind and I'm giving and, you know, I'm willing to do this and I'm willing to do that, and you overstretch yourself, and maybe you might take a shift with somebody one time that puts you in a difficult position, like you have to get up early and like you're coming home late the last night, you know, you don't really want to do that, but you'll do it just to help that person out, and then so that way you're overburdening yourself because now you're doing something you don't want to do, out of the kindness of your heart. So I think that's another situation where it's like, like, what do you think about that? Because that's like also a kindness issue, I suppose.
I do think there's an element of like, look, why do we do that? Why do we take one thing that's happened and completely let that define a person? Like, for example, if you stopped doing something that you always used to do, like switching shifts, and it's like the person almost gets really offended when what you were always doing for them was a favour, but it's like all of a sudden now offence is involved, and it's like, oh no, I can't believe you're doing that. But it just becomes a lot. That's why I do think there is a limit when it's giving. But then again, you're right in the sense that you know your reward. If you're doing something in your head for the sake of Allah, and you're always doing things for people for the sake of Allah, then we have reward to attain. So we should never stop chasing reward, should we? Like, that should never be an option. We should never stop chasing reward, because we know that our end goal is not this life. Like, it's not here. This ain't it. But in that regard, I think we attach ourselves a lot to actions as well. So if you go your way and you're saying, but Zara, we're doing everything for the sake of Allah, all we should do is chase reward, and that's how it should be. Like, we shouldn't be thinking about other things. I think I'm like, on the other hand, saying, but humans naturally attach themselves to like their actions. We attach ourselves to our actions. If I did something for you, subconsciously, I'm going to feel really good. And that's sad. Not sad, but it's natural. Like, I'm going to feel like, oh yeah, I did that for...
I don't think that's sad. Yeah, I think it's a good thing, to be honest. Like, to feel happy to do things for others.
I attach myself to what I did for you rather than attaching myself to the reward that I might have gotten instead. So I attach myself to... And my reward ends up coming from your response. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm only going to feel great and happy and achieved if you've given me the response that I've wanted. And if you don't, then I'm like, oh, so I did that for nothing. You know, that whole, like, I did that for nothing. Yeah. When that's never the case.
But that's what I mean. That's why it's so hard. Like, it's such a difficult situation. Like, even when it comes to, like, you also have to think about it in the context of, like, a relationship. If somebody's always the person, like, always being kind and always giving and always showing that gratitude and that love and that care, as much as, yes, the reward is for the sake of Allah and you'll attain that reward, inshallah, it's also you thinking about, when is it come to a point where I'm overstretching myself and this relationship is no longer worth, overstretching my kindness? Because I think a lot of people do experience that, for example, in whatever relationship it is, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, a parent. Even loads of people have, like, struggles with parent relationships in terms of that, like, when am I doing too much, financially, physically, mentally, in terms of your time as well. When are you giving that person too much time where it's like, now it's actually affecting me? Like, let's say that person's going through like a difficulty and they're always calling you every single day. Let's say this is a situation, as much as you love and care for that person, you might start being like, okay, this is like starting to like impact me and like it's starting to affect my mental health. So then those are things as well. Like, when do you then step away? Like, when is it okay to step away and not be rude? And when is it, like, do you know what I mean? It's such a hard one when it comes to kindness, because sometimes people really do genuinely take kindness for weakness, and it's sad, but it's genuinely the truth. Like, it's sad, but what can we do?
And I think it's a real thing that everyone experiences as well, no matter who you are. Everyone goes through a stage where they are doing something for someone and they don't get the response they want, and then they feel they're going underappreciated, and then underappreciation turns into this and that. It's like a really deep thing, and it just gets deeper and deeper, when the surface level was, I did something for you and I expected some sort of response. But at the same time, we know, and especially as Muslims, that we can't put that blame on someone, like, because people are different, responses are different.
Some people don't actually react. Like, there's just genuinely people who, when you give them something, they might be buzzing up inside, but on the outside they might be like, okay, thank you, and that's it, and that's fine.
With cultural parents, that's a big thing. They very much don't show it. Like, I think if us as kids go out of our way to do something, and obviously we can never match the level of what they've done for us, but say, for example, we physically go and get a present, for example, And we give it a lot of the time. It's like, why did you spend your money? Like, why did you spend your why are you spending your money? Why are you not saving? So it's all of that. And in your head, you're like, but I took out of my like I took, but I wanted to take a bit and get something, but I don't think that they're naturally upset with the fact that we spent money. I think it's their way of being, like trying to say in a really subtle way, thanks. Because I honestly do think that, because they don't want to, and again, like it's very different. Every culture is different, every person is different, and everyone shows appreciation in different ways, but that's just people are different, and you can't go around hurting yourself and beating yourself up when you've done something nice, and like Allah knows what you've done as well. If someone doesn't respond the way you want, it's fine. Like, it's okay. It's not,
it's okay.
Don't lower yourself or think that I need to now start being a brick wall, or I need to start being really I don't want to think about anyone else because they don't appreciate it. Because the next person that you do something nice for could absolutely like be crying, you know what I mean, like be really happy. So you don't know what response you're gonna get. But yeah, attach yourself to the reward.
Do you think you're the type of Sorry, go on. You said attach yourself to the reward, but yeah, that's completely true. Yeah, you're right, because then that way you're less like upset if you get disappointed by their reaction. You still have that attachment that you've already built. But I think it's a work in progress, I suppose. It's something that you have to kind of train yourself to do, because your innate reaction is like, oh my God, open it. I want you to see react. I want you to see this. So you kind of need to train yourself to be like, okay, like, alhamdulillah, regardless, like,
we do that because it makes us feel good. Do you see what I mean? Like, when we do something for someone, we're so eager for them to see it, to open it, to react to it, because it will make us feel achieved. So when we give gifts, when we do something nice for people, we need to attach ourselves to the rewards that Allah will give us, rather than the response that the people will give us. Because some people don't give a response. Some people cannot show their emotions. They cannot express a thank you, because that is a part of them which I'm sure they're trying to work on. So rather than becoming upset and disappointed or angry at someone's response, detach yourself from what they're doing. Be happy that you've done something for them. Feel content no matter their response, but attach yourself to the reward that Allah gives you.
Yeah, 100%. Oh no, I said it. Oh well, once in the podcast is fine. But do you think you're the type of person where if somebody gives you a gift, do you think you react to it, or do you think you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool, thanks?
I definitely think it depends on who. I think, and this is another thing I want to talk about, I think that our expectations depict our responses. For example, to be honest with you, say for example my brother was to give me a present, or one of my brothers was to give me a gift, maybe a part of me is like, yeah, well, I'm their little sister. That's like, that's normal.
Expect it. Like, it's just like, okay, thanks, you do this all the time.
It's that expectation where I should really be thinking, they've got children, they've taken time out of their day, like they're busy working, whatever it is, they've taken time out to think about me, to then go and act upon that thought, go and get the gift, then deliver it, all these things. So, but then because they're older and they're your like older sibling or older sister or older brother, you're like, yeah, like that's okay, that's normal. Whereas if a friend did it, you don't expect your friend to give you really big gifts, because I don't know, maybe the sense that they're on the same level as you, maybe financially they're on the same level, so that's a lot of money, that's a lot of money for them, and that's when you're like, oh, thank you, like, and you start crying and all these things.
That's actually a really good point, to be honest. That's actually such a good, like, that was a really good explanation, because I think that does play into it quite a bit. That's why in like, probably in like marriages and stuff, you probably get a bit complacent. Like if somebody's always doing something nice for you, you're just like, all right, cool. Like let's say you're like, I don't know, your partner makes you breakfast or something, but they do it like every single Sunday or something. Like they make like a big breakfast. It's like, okay, it was nice in the first time and it's nice in the second time and it's still nice now, but it's just like not that surprising anymore. So it's just nice, thank you, but I'm getting over it at this point. But that's probably brings into that sense of gratitude and like renewing everything and constantly being grateful for everything around you. Because if you get into that like mindset of always being grateful, I guess that will then, then go into everything that you do, and it will also manifest itself in different ways, because then not only are you being grateful for everything in your life, but you're being grateful for everyone in your life. And so that is now a part of your life that you constantly think and remember to think. So I guess being in that mindset of gratitude is really important, because then you don't forget that person is doing something nice for you just because they care about you, but they don't have to do it. But yeah, that's a really good one. That was very well explained.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Backup.
Thank you, Backup. I think expectation is definitely involved in the art of giving, in the art of receiving. Everything is like it's an expectation. And it is hard. It is hard because you shouldn't have expectations of people, and you should always expect nothing. They say that, right? If you expect nothing, you'll always be happy, because if someone does something, you didn't expect it,
But I don't like that, because I feel like, honestly, everyone has expectations. Like, you have expectations. It's literally innate. Like, you have expectations of everything. You have expectations of your day. You have like, it's so hard, like, to not have any expectations. You're right. It is probably better, but it's hard. It's so hard.
It's the same. It's the same thing. Like, it's not. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, that how you plan your day, you expect that you are going to do that workout. You expect that you're going to lose this much weight by the end of the month. Like, there's always these little things that you expect. And maybe intertwined with all of that is your expectations of people and how they should treat you. I do think that we need to learn a lot more leniency, though, because these expectations can then break a lot of relationships, in the sense that when that person isn't up to scratch. And that's where communication comes into it, because if we're constantly expecting from people and say Hafsah, I'm expecting that you are on form when it comes to something to do with the something to do with the podcast, whatever. I'm like, Hafsah, this is what we need to do, and every week you're on it, every week you're doing it, and that's my expectation of you, because this is like our thing. And then there's like a few weeks where you're just really not on it, and I'm like, and then you start getting frustrated. But the reality is we have to give benefit of the doubt. And I was having this conversation with my sister earlier, and she was saying that the concept of giving people the benefit of the doubt is so out of the window these days with our generation and our people. We do not give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, and I just think we need to like bring that notion back in. Just talk to people. Okay, why did you feel like this week? Why are you not doing it this week? What is going on? And the craziest thing is, guess what, when you communicate, you're gonna find out a lot. You're gonna find out. You're guess what, they'll probably tell you.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, I agree with you completely. Don't get me wrong, like, expectations, yeah, and you're right, to be honest. You probably shouldn't have these expectations, and it's not fair to have them. But I think in some ways, like, I just naturally would have expectations of you. Maybe not necessarily expectations that are high, and be like, okay, Zara, you need to make me a coffee every single morning. You need to do, like, that is like, okay, you're being a bit, like, too much. But I'll have minimum expectations for you. Like, I'll be like, okay, obviously, if you're going through something, or if somebody's, like, struggling or whatever, or, like, this is your sibling and they're, like, half dead coming back from their shift at work or something, that's different, because that's an extreme circumstance. But there'll be certain things that I'll expect of you. Like, for me, I feel like when it comes to, like, whatever relationship it is, whether it's my friends, whether it's, like, family, whatever, and then inshallah in the future, spouse and kids and whatever, I think that speaking to each other with respect is so important. Like, so it doesn't matter that, like, okay, like, you shouldn't have expectations of people and don't expect things from people. But, like, I would expect you to not speak to me in a disrespectful way, or, like, you know, use, like, foul language or anything like that, because that's, like, a no. So, or, like, for example, like, I don't know, like, there's different things. Like, for example, if my sister was at work and I was at uni, we're in the same building and, like, down, like, the road from each other. If she's going home, I'd expect her to tell me so that we can go home together. And if she doesn't, I'm going to be annoyed, because we could have gone together and I could have got, like, a drive home. So I think that's fine. I think that's fine to have that expectations of someone. I shouldn't rely on my sister to take me home, but I do. And I would be like to her, I'm really annoyed that you left without me, because now I have to take double the time to get home on the train. So those kind of things, yeah, you shouldn't have expectations of people. But if I care about you, and if we're in a quote unquote relationship as siblings, by force, by blood, then I want you to come and get me after I finish at the library, and let's go home together. So yeah, I have expectations of everybody in my life, but I also understand that sometimes those expectations won't be met for whatever the reasons, and you have to give people the benefit of the doubt, and you have to have husn al-dhan and be like, okay, do you know, Allah alam, like, these people might, like, have, like, a reason behind, like, why they're being like this or whatever. So you have to always take everything with, like, a pinch of salt. Not everything is always as it seems, but I think that it is important in terms of your boundaries, for me personally anyway, in terms of my boundaries, to know what I will and won't accept. I feel like having expectations helps me. And that, I don't know, maybe it's not fair, but hey ho, it's my life. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know, yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I would want my partner to have expectations of me. Like, what if I'm just sitting around doing nothing and I sleep all day and I don't do nothing? I don't work, I don't breathe, I don't smile, I don't do anything, I don't speak to you, I've never had a conversation with you. Like, that's an expectation at the end of the day. Like, you expect me to have a conversation with you, but you're not going to force me. So I don't know. Like, I think expectations is good. Maybe just not high expectations, but expectations.
I think everyone has expectations, but where do you think these expectations come from? Because there must be a reason as to why. Because people's difference in expectations, like you said, the main thing is that people need to speak to each other with respect. That is, I don't even think it's an expectation. I think it's what you have to do. Like, it's not a negotiable thing. It's non-negotiable. Because expectations can fluctuate, right? But there's some things that are just set. Like respect, like being able to hold a conversation with someone in a respectful manner, not insulting them, not being mean. However, I also think that expectations come from somewhere, and that's when it comes down to, like, you know, perhaps even childhood, perhaps whatever it may be, you have an expectation of people. And I also think it comes down to how you've been treated and how you treat people. So, for example, say someone's gone throughout their life, maybe perhaps not being spoken to in a respectful way. That could be, you know, Allah knows best, but through family, that could be through friendships. They haven't had the best of friendships. They have felt a bit weak in friendships. They feel little and small and all these things, right? You know, people unfortunately can belittle you in life. With that being said, being spoken to with respect isn't something that they feel is, like, necessary. It's more of a luxury. So, like, we know that being spoken with respect is absolutely bare minimum, non-negotiable if you're going to speak to someone. But some people are actually, when somebody speaks with them with kindness and respect and appreciation, or at least some level of consideration, they become very happy and very, you know, like, oh wow, like it's a luxury for them, which does make me feel sad that is the scenario out there. So yeah, there are certain things in your life where you would consider them to be a luxury, and oh, that's really nice that someone's doing that, whereas someone else on the other hand could be like, that's standard. Like, that is, I think expectations definitely come down to what you've experienced. It's all about experiences.
Yeah, I think that's probably what, because then that's becomes what's important to you, because you know that that's completely normal. Like, if you've grown up in a household where, like, you know, something has become your normal, then if somebody then tries to do what is not considered your normal as your bare minimum, then it's hurtful to you, because you're like, okay, why are you like moving mad? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think you're 100% right. No. Oh my god, you are right. Not 100%, just you are 99.9% right. But yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. It's not my fault you have such good points, okay? I just totally agree with you with everything you said. But yeah, I agree with you, and I think that your lifestyle, the way you grow up, you know, your experiences, everything like molds into what becomes important to you, and your morals and your values. That's why people's life experiences kind of shape the way that they behave, shape their character, shape everything, because those are the kind of things that start to mold you, and you start to form, okay, what is important to me, what is not important to me, what things can I handle, what things can't I handle. And for me, I cannot handle rudeness. It just does not work for me. I think that, okay, like, you might have like, okay, everybody has disagreements. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, you know, you'll disagree with your siblings and then 5 seconds later you'll make up with each other. So having disagreements is fine, but no matter what, the conversation needs to stay respectful. Otherwise, you're just like that's something that's just like not okay for me. That does not run. I know I can't handle rudeness. It just no. That's just like, that's a bare minimum for me. So I think that's based on my like experiences, because as I grew older, as my siblings and I started to get older, we know what our limits are. We know that even like when we're younger, you know, you're younger, you're arguing all the time, or you know, this that, whatever, you took my toy, this girl took my lollipop, whatever. Then as you grow older and you start to, you know, identify with your morals and your behaviors, and you start to analyze your life and see what is important to me, and you mature and grow up, that's when you recognize, okay, it's not okay for me to speak to someone like that. Or if somebody's older than you, the level of respect you need to have. Whereas for somebody, maybe they grew up in a household where people who are older than them don't need a level of respect. Whereas in my house, boy, if I say something to my older sister, it's completely different than if I say it to my younger brother, that's for sure. So yeah, I think that norms and values is really important. That's why I think no matter what it is, friendships, relationships, you know, whatever it is, whatever relationship it is, you really need to look at norms and values. It plays a lot into people's lives. It's so key. If you have a friendship where you don't have similar norms and values, it's going to be a bit mad, because then they might think it's okay to like swear at you, or like, I don't know, hit you even, and then you will not be amused at all. So yeah, it is important.
And I think the positioning does play a part as well, because for example, we both have older sisters, right? We have older sisters, mashallah, they're both married, got children. So we, for them, put it in the situation where they have only had our parents, or I don't know, perhaps even friends or someone to base off of what they think is acceptable in a marriage, whereas we have them to look at. So you have your older sister and her relationship with her husband and their marriage to base off of what you would want in a marriage or what you wouldn't want in a marriage, and you can make your own judgments based off what you've seen off of her. And she's obviously not far off you in terms of age either. So lucky. So same with me, like seeing my siblings in their marriages has formed what I have my expectations for myself. So it's like you also base your expectations based on what other people will have approved or denied. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so if my sister won't have that, then I won't have. So even
honestly, no, but literally, yeah. Because yeah, if she ain't gonna take it, I ain't gonna take it either. I ain't gonna take it. We gonna take it as a family. That ain't coming in my family. How about it? Okay. I'm just gonna say that from now. Okay. But yeah, it makes sense, because if you respect somebody and you like value their opinion and their way of life, everything they say is like, okay, that goes. Because even when it comes to people that you respect who are outside of your family, like let's say you have a friend and you just think, okay, this girl like has like very good level of respect, you know, she knows what she wants or whatever. If she gives you advice and is like, that's not okay, you'll be like, that's not okay. Okay. So now you've got confirmation. Now you've got confirmation from her who has her life together, and she has told you it's not okay. So I think that, yeah, if you respect somebody and you respect their opinion and their lifestyle and the way they live their life, and you want to aspire to be similar to them in that shape or form, then yeah, you're going to take their opinion really seriously.
Their expectations become what you expect, which in some ways, I guess, could become toxic if you think deeply into it. It goes both ways, doesn't it? It goes both ways. It can either be sometimes a bit toxic because their expectation just generally just might work for their marriage, and their partner might be okay with that expectation, but whoever you marry looks at that expectation and thinks, I'm not okay. That's weird. Like, I'm not like with that. So it's really like, it's very, very specific. So yeah, we can take advice and we can take pointers and, you know, tips and all that stuff, but when it comes to your own thing, you realize that over time, oh gosh, I had all these expectations in the beginning, but as my life goes on, I realize that we've actually formed our own little way of doing things, and that's just how it works for us.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why for me, norms and values are so important. Like, even when it comes to like friends and stuff, when I'm making friends with people, there's certain things I just won't like want to be like, if a person does a certain thing or like acts in a certain way or has a specific value that I don't agree with, and that's one of my non-negotiables, then we just probably won't end up being friends. Not even because I'm like, I categorically will not be your friend. It's just because naturally it probably
I
won't
have calculated it and I'm not here.
No, but like it's not even like a calculation thing. Genuinely, I already know. Like, I'm just like, okay, like we probably won't end up being that good of friends, because it's just like there's just certain things you just can't. Like, it's just like you're either vibesing or you're not. Like,
I know, but that even like some people, for example, that's a big thing in terms of their deen. They want someone that is either on the same level of them, in terms of where they prioritize their deen, or even much higher so that they can help them get up there. So yeah, in a very, very subconscious way, we do categorize, like, when we enter a situation. Friendship is definitely one of them, because you kind of just, yeah, you're right, you catch a vibe, you see whether it's something that will benefit you, be a benefit. And again, the biggest thing is you have to surround yourself that people that will benefit you, otherwise you're just losing out, and you're going to start losing parts of yourself because being around them feels like a waste of time, right?
100%.
And you have to be honest with yourself when you feel like it's a waste of time. Yeah, obviously, maybe not just say it. Never be like, being friends with you is wasting my time, but subconsciously, you know, step away. I think is important. But it's okay if they're not reaching your non-negotiable, exceeding things, or that they're just not reaching what you think is standard, then you should be strong enough within yourself to be like, that's not really what I want in life.
Yeah, because there's probably things about me they probably don't like, and that's fine. We just don't click. Like, that's okay, you know. We can, like, still be respectful. I still think you're a great person, but we just probably, like, our norms and values just don't align enough for us to build, like, a connection. I'm acting like this is the biggest deal ever. It's a friendship, but, like, seriously, like, we just don't have enough on the plate at the moment to make a meal, if you get what I'm saying. Like, the protein is there, but, you know, the carbs and veg are lacking. Let's put it that way. But, yeah. That's why even when it comes, I love how we always end up talking about stuff like this, but we have no marriage and no kids. But that's fine, you know, we can still talk about it. But even when it comes to, like, inshallah, one day, do you know what I mean?
Hafsah, what's your expectations? You'll be like, oh, Zara, I don't know, it's going to be so different.
My expectations have just gone out the window.
I have no non-negotiables anymore.
Oh my god, I really do hope. No, okay, no. You have to stop me and I'll stop you. There's just certain things, okay? You have to have my back, okay? Because you know me, I say yes to everything. But yeah, when it comes to, like, marriage and kids, I feel like that's why when it comes to people getting married, they always say, like, oh, look at somebody who will become, like, your future father of your kids, because it's not only just because of you're marrying that person, but also it goes into the fact that that person will then bring their norms and values onto other things. So even when it comes to your friends and stuff, when it comes to norms and values, it might not be a non-negotiable in terms of the fact that you two can be friends, but if that's norms and values that your family won't be okay with, at the end of the day, they're going to become a part of your family if they become your close friend, and they're going to be around your family. So if your family is like no tolerance to swearing, and that person's swearing like an Irish sailor, as they say in that quote unquote, then it's just not going to work, because then you are basically going to be hiding traits of that person around your family. It's making you feel uncomfortable. So why put yourself in that position? So I think when you're thinking of like a new addition to your life, you can't only think about yourself, but also think about the people around you. Because if somebody has a bad trait but they know when to like, you know, stop in and out of it, then that's fine. Like, people just need to know how to read the room, as they say. But if they're a kind of person who would swear around kids or swear around your family, and those are things that you're not okay with, yeah, like they have zero filter, and you're just not okay with people who have zero filter, then khalas, it's just not going to work. They might be a really great person, you might find them so funny, you might get along, you might have many things in common, but because of that thing, it might impact your relationship in a way where in the end you might end up like, you know, breaking off that friendship. So that's why for me, I'm just like, okay, do you know what, you have to kind of think like, is this like something you can roll with or not?
Like, are you someone that's willing to communicate and be like, okay, I know that you have this, you know, say for example, it's saying about the foul language. If you feel there's someone who really utilizes foul language, and you're saying, look, like, that's not something that will roll with me or my family, is it possible you can communicate, or you'd rather be friends with people that just kind of know the non-negotiable, they know that level straight away, like singularly, like they just know that?
I think it's situational, to be honest. Like, I think each situation will be different. Like, sometimes you don't get to choose. Like, if that person's your work colleague, what are you going to do? Quit your job because that person's like, do you know what I mean? You can't, it's situational. But I think if it's like, there's no benefit to this relationship kind of thing, where it's like, there's so many non-negotiables where it's like, and I'm just like, there's nothing in common anyway, then why even hold that relationship? Especially, and I think that's with like new people. If you're already friends with someone, you're not going to just be like, oh, we can't be friends anymore because you like said a bad word one day and I was just like, oh my god, no. Like, if you can, like, it's really important to just be able to communicate things with people. It shouldn't be all and end all. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so, and I think it depends on the kind of relationship you have with that person. How involved in your life are they going to be? Are they going to be a friend that's like friends for now? Like, you know, you have situational friends. Like, you had friends in primary school that you probably never speak to again. Like, you were friends in at the time in the situation. Or is it like, you know, we're around each other a lot, you're around my family a lot, like, what is it, like, what is the situation? That's why I think when it comes to like a life partner and when a friend, it's going to be slightly different, because your friend you might only see in a certain situation, whereas your life partner you're living with. So yeah, if you have a bad habit that I don't like, I don't want to pick up that bad habit from you, so maybe it'll just be in that situation I'd have to just, you know, put it on the back burner, as they say. But yeah, what about you? Would you think that you would just like communicate, or would it be like, nah, we Gucci out here?
You don't always want to have to communicate these things to your friends. That you don't always want to have to like almost set out the what do they call it? Kind of just like set the standard. Like, you don't want to have to keep doing that. Like, you don't. And I think if you are constantly in that situation, but then again, like I said, I can't contradict myself, because I did talk about giving people the benefit of the doubt. So I think the first time, if you have a friend who you know, for example, the foul language thing, like they have this thing where they talk within their words, they probably say a lot of words that, you know, maybe your family wouldn't be okay with, or even yourself you're not okay with, like you just feel quite uncomfortable when they keep talking like that. I think definitely tell them once, because maybe they don't know, we've got to assume that person doesn't know their bad trait, and we should always assume and give excuses for people, like, for their actions, as Muslims as well. So I think definitely tell them that, look, this trait I think is a bit it is a bit toxic, you know, like it's not a good trait that you kind of have with your language, and tell them, let them know, be a good friend in that sense. And that's a test to your friendship. So maybe that's the first hurdle that you go through, like Allah knows best, but maybe that is a first test to your friendship. And then once you overcome that, it can either go two ways. One way is, you can't tell me what to do and I find that offensive that you think that you're trying to mold me. Then you're like, okay, this isn't going to stop, but it's something I'm also not cool with. Or it can go the other way, and they're saying, you know what, I actually never knew I had that problem. I just end up talking, and then I just say all these things, and sometimes what I say is wrong, but it's not something that consciously I do. And then you could have solved their problem. So you have to kind of figure out, depending on their response, but definitely I think give them the benefit of the doubt and first communicate If again you're having to keep communicating, then make that judgment yourself, whether you want to keep them around.
I agree with you. I think it is important to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially because our like, well, me myself, I would say ourselves, but everyone in the world isn't perfect. Like, you probably have bad habits that people don't like, and you would want them to give you the benefit of the doubt and not just like, you know, like put you to the side. So that's why I said, like, yeah, it's always situational. It's one of those things where you kind of need to like assess it, have a conversation, and then make that judgment. Because yeah, like, there's probably things like you do that other people would want to like call you up on and be like, do you know what, you know, Hafsah, I find this particular trait of yours pretty annoying. And I'll be like, okay, fair enough. It might be something that I don't think is bad, and then I'll be like, okay, cool. Yeah. Or it might be something where I'm like, oh my God, like, this is a bad habit and I just genuinely didn't realize I had it, and I'm glad we had this conversation because now I can improve it and become a better person. But that's why the communication is the key to all relationships. But no, but yeah, honestly, communication is the key. They say it all the time, but it's definitely very important.
Because we're not mind readers out here. Like, we don't know how people feel. Like, only Allah knows what's in our minds and how we feel, and we can't act as if everything that we think is right either. Like, we also got to give room to, like, maybe I'm wrong. And I think we don't admit enough that we're wrong. We don't admit enough that our behaviour is hurting people. We don't admit any of this. It's a human thing, and yes, it's something that needs to be worked on, but even as a work in progress, naturally people don't like to feel as if they're wrong because it makes them feel low. So I think as much as we are out here giving people the benefit of the doubts for them, maybe them not reaching our non-negotiables, we also got to look within and communicate. You're right. But I think that's a really beautiful point to end up on.
I knew you were going to say that. Do you know what's so funny is that you're always the one that ends the episodes. People are probably like, this girl is, Hafsah is waffling so much. And Zara's just like, okay, it's time to end the podcast. Should we end it? Like, should we just, let's end it, I think. Like, you've just been talking
we start
a lot.
Exceeding. I don't want to, just throw them off.
They're talking again. Cut it off.
Their expectation on us, okay?
Wow, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That was just elegant. And that was a beautiful way to end the episode. No ending, because I don't even know what you say now. You've done it so many times. I think you're used to it. Just end it.
I'm used to ruining the fun.
You're used to ruining the fun and cutting it off. So I think you should just keep your role. You're the executioner backup. We've got you 2 roles now. I think that adds together to fit the extra role that I do, on this podcast. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, well guys, that was episode 12 of MissHeard. And yeah, man, I mean, Hafsah's throwing me off a little bit with this outro, so I'm just gonna say I hope you enjoyed.
Salam alaikum, guys. See you next week.